Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be taking a look at a piece by the up-and-coming AI generative artist known as Mickey Chan. This episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the symbolically natural colors of green and gold. We're going to talk about the influences born from the Far East. We're going to talk about the profound power of the Midjourney AI generative art program. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, we met with quite a tall spatial composition here. This is really necessary to display such a grand scene for sure. And we see this for sure. We see a central tree here set within this frame, and we see what appears to be a lone subject sitting at the base there. And this canopy really takes up every inch of the spatial composition, really draws the eye, and a really great first impression. And so this is set in the format of a tarot card, and so we see this here, it's very traditional. We have that vertical landscape, and of course it's adjusted to have that reference for sure. And we see our subject here, normally the subject of the tarot card. It's hard to say exactly who or what this subject is. We'll go a bit deeper of that here in a second. And so with this in mind, we see this central tree that really draws the eye. Of course, you have these lighter tones in the backing, whether it's the green, whether it's a little bit of gold, yellow, whether it's the white there. And this central tree here really strikes its silhouette against that backing. Of course, a dark, unlike contrast. So it's really hard to miss, and it's quite impossible to miss. Of course, it really splits the composition into kind of two main sections, of course, set within that frame. And this really draws the eye. It also gives a really natural introduction as well. It gives a sense of foundation to the work at hand and really gives that really captivating sense of the composition here. And so with this in mind, we see the colors, of course, green and gold. And green, so green is a very natural color. So of course you have nature, leaves, anything like that, very green, and this kind of emerald color as well. It's just absolutely beautiful. So we have the natural green there, and then we also have gold. So you can think of it as a few different things. Of course, you have literal gold, you have the metal, then you also have the symbolic color of the sun. So when we put green and gold together, we get a very natural, a very divine natural scene. And we certainly see that for sure. A very nice composition here. And so with that in mind, we see our subject within a frame here. Of course, this works to elevate the subject. So it really draws the eye. It focuses our attention within the composition, and it gives this sense of boundaries as well. It also gives this sense of kind of ornate crafting, right? So things that are more ornate or more beautiful are seen to be more divine. And so the use of this kind of ornate texture as well as the color gold also gives us a sense of regality, as well as, say, that sense of the divine natural or the divine in general. So all very important whenever we're taking this. And so that really elevates the importance of the subject within that. It's saying, look here, this is the golden border of the subject or the magic within. So definitely draws the eye for sure. And so what we also see is a bit of influences from the Far East here. And we see that everywhere from kind of a much more watercolor or ink brush type of aesthetic. We see that from the golden border that's often seen in the East as well. Maybe even the subject's conical hat or the depiction of a natural scene, those all could really remind of the Far East. So with that in mind, what do you guys see whenever you view this work? Do you see the Far East influences that I do? Do you guys see something else? I'm quite curious what you guys see whenever you look at this work. And so this piece is a tarot card, so it's meant to be this kind of custom AI generative art tarot card. And the tarot really originated in really kind of 1400s Europe, kind of around mid 1400s Europe, and they're originally used as playing cards. So what were once playing cards eventually grew to become kind of objects for divination or kind of what we call fortune telling or cartomancy. So all of those are quite interesting. We see the evolution of the tarot card from just playing cards all the way to something that has a spiritual significance or some type of divine element to that. So I think that's really, really interesting. Oh, you're good. I'll just clip it out. Have a good shift. I can close it. Yeah. Bye. And so this fortune telling is quite interesting, right? Because we're always trying to look at the symbols around us and try and kind of get them in our favor, or try and, say, look into the future to know what happens. So the tarot card is really interesting. It also has a lot of different archetypes. Of course, you have priestess, you have the emperor, you have the hermit, you have just so many different options. And what Although it's hard to say for sure, what I find most interesting is it's reminiscent of kind of the High Priestess or the Hermit. And I say that because, say, the High Priestess, it's kind of a spiritual soliloquy, or it could be the Hermit, where you're kind of isolated within nature, where you're kind of in introspection or contemplation. So I see either the High Priestess or the Hermit here, although it's hard to say for sure. I'm curious, what do you guys think this tarot card is? Which archetype or which character do you think we're looking at? So the original artist has this massive collection of all these various AI generated tarot cards. And so we see, I brought some of these into VR just to see what the artist has to offer. And so, of course, we have the original that we're talking about today, this kind of black, gold, and green one here. And then we also have the blue aesthetic to the left, a little bit of red in there as well. Then we have the red aesthetic as well. And you'll notice that each one of these scenes are just absolutely divine. They're grand in every sense of the word. They're incredibly ornate. They have these mythological symbols. They have an incredibly vivid color. It leaves a lasting impression, and it's sure to leave the viewer speechless. Here, quite an interesting question for sure. And so this piece was made in AI generative art. So this piece was made in Midjourney, so it is an AI generative art piece. And Midjourney may be the most powerful in relation to its accuracy and its accessibility. So a lot of people can go into those kind of Discord server that they have and create something on the fly if they're not too into AI generative art. It's really not too complex. So I think Midjourney, which is led by David Holes, is very underrated, and it's going to grow quite a bit. Of course, DALL-E 2 is very accurate in contrast to that, but it's not as widespread or accessible for a lot of people. So hope you guys enjoyed. It was a really nice tarot card. I really drew my eye, whether it's the black and gold, whether it's the emerald green here, or all three colors kind of together, whether it's the symbolism that we talked about, or whether the influences of the Far East that I see. Really drew my eye, and I knew I had to write about this one. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, go check out the original artist, the AI generative artist Mickey Chan. Did some great work here, and he really makes a lot of these tarot cards, so you guys can definitely check out a lot more of these. So hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.